In the spring of 1889, as Paris prepared to welcome the whole world on the centenary of the Revolution, engineers began assembling something so bold it was foreign to the romantic skyline of domes and spires that even Parisians, lovers of art, rebels of the soul, were left stunned. A structure made of steel, rough and towering, as if trying to pierce the calm blue sky of the City of Light. A slight dissonance in the classical symphony. But its father, the engineer Gustave Eiffel, saw something different. He believed that within the very lines of iron and steel, of strength and precision, existed a unique beauty. And what they didn't see was what Paris herself sensed from the beginning. That beauty is not always soft. Sometimes it is made of silence and resilience. And then it stood there, towering over the city, like a love story written in metal and light. It was built to mark a moment, with the intention of soon fading away. But then, challenging both time and prejudice, this very place became the rendezvous point of wordless emotions. Parisians and tourists everywhere can see it from almost every corner, like a gentle reminder that beauty is always present, even amid the busy metropolis. Like a gentle reminder that beauty is always present, even amidst the busy metropolis. In the heart of Paris, where time sometimes stills to make way for emotion, the tower won its fight against its temporary fate. It became a symbol not only of engineering, but also of the things that humans always seek: love, beauty, and the fervent desire to preserve something forever. There is a place in Paris that all roads lead to, not because of its beauty, but because of what it holds. In the center of the Étoile roundabout, where 12 avenues intersect like veins converging on the heart of a nation, the Arc de Triomphe is not simply a great stone arch in the middle of the city. It is memory carved in stone, the echo of the souls who have passed through the history of France and never truly left. It began as Napoleon's dream, a gate of glory through which every returning soldier would walk, head held high, filled with pride, and remembered by France. At one point, there was even talk of demolishing the foundations already built. And yet, that stone arch kept waiting. It continued to rise, stone by stone, layer by layer, as if time itself were completing it, not human hands. 30 years, a monument that has outlived more kings than the thrones that once ruled France. Beneath each relief lies a story, a victory, a general, a soldier. Today, Parisians pass beneath the arch as if it were just another beat in the city's heartbeat. Children run and play at its feet. Couples lean into each other on its steps. Tourists click their cameras as if trying to capture its beauty. But if you stand still long enough, amid the noise of traffic, in the slant of sunset across the statues, amid the dizzying whirl of a city that never stops moving forward, you'll begin to feel it. The Arc de Triomphe does not stand there just to be seen. It stands there to look back at you. In the heart of Paris, where history breathes through stone and silence, rises a cathedral that has outlived kings, revolutions, and fire, Notre-Dame de Paris. Its story began in 1163 on the Île de la Cité, the very heart of medieval Paris, where stone by stone, over the span of 2 centuries, generations of master craftsmen raised what would become one of the most iconic examples of French Gothic architecture in the world. The soaring pointed arches and ribbed vaults, at once majestic and defiant, seem to stretch toward heaven, while the towering nave bathes in the ethereal glow of its monumental rose windows. Each pane of stained glass capturing a fragment of biblical history in radiant color. On its facade and flying buttresses perch the cathedral's most silent guardians, stone gargoyles with contorted faces, weathered by time but still vigilant, whispering tales of centuries past to those who dare to listen. Within its walls, emperors were crowned, most famously Napoleon in 1804, and the massive bell Emmanuel still rings solemnly across the Seine, marking holy days and national moments of unity with a voice that resonates deep in the soul of the city. Yet Notre Dame is more than a cathedral. It is a cultural cornerstone, immortalized in Victor Hugo's The Hunchback of Notre Dame, which awakened a nation's heart to the value of its architectural heritage and turned this sacred structure into the beating soul of France. Its silhouette, instantly recognizable, rivals that of the Eiffel Tower in defining the visual identity of Paris and its square. Then, on the night of April 15, 2019, fire tore through the heart of this monument. Flames consumed its wooden roof and brought its spire crashing down in a haunting silhouette against the Parisian sky, silencing the world in collective grief. But as with every chapter in the cathedral's long and storied history, hope followed sorrow. On December 8, 2024, Notre Dame reopened its doors. Light once again poured through its restored windows, illuminating the vaulted ceilings and reflecting in the eyes of those gathered to witness its resurrection. Chants rose to the heavens, mingling with the echoes of centuries, and the bells rang out as if to say, "Paris endures." Notre Dame de Paris is not simply a relic of the past, it is a mirror of the present and a promise for the future, a place where faith, art, and the human spirit meet under arches that will continue to rise long after we are gone. A smile that once left the whole world bewildered, then vanished without a trace. Amid the rhythm of modern Paris, where cafes are rich with the scent of espresso, and street musicians play the violin on sunlit morning steps, there is still a place that holds on to the memory of centuries: the Louvre Museum. Once a fortress for kings, then a palace of royal power. The Louvre is now a place people come to not only look at art, but to find themselves again through the fragments of souls left behind by the past. The Louvre is not just the most visited art museum in the world, it's a living chronicle of human creativity. Centuries of civilization converge under one roof. Its glass pyramid, rising boldly from the palace courtyard, is a modern gesture rooted in tradition. It stands as a symbol of how innovation can live alongside heritage. At the heart of this grand museum, the Mona Lisa remains the most recognized painting on the planet. Not for its size, nor the materials used, but for the intensity it commands. People come not just to admire a work of Leonardo da Vinci, but to witness a moment in history. A moment that continues to challenge, mesmerize, and quietly echo the mystery of what it means to observe and to be observed. But on an August morning in 1911, the Mona Lisa disappeared. No alarm bells, no trace of blood, only a cold, empty space, as if Paris had just dropped its own soul. The thief was an Italian glazier. He believed he was doing the right thing, bringing her back home. For 2 years, the whole world searched for a smile. Until an art dealer in Florence discovered her, and she returned. Not a single scratch. But from that moment on, the Mona Lisa was no longer just a painting. Millions of people line up every year, not just to take a photo, but to stand still for a few seconds before her. In that silence, among all those different gazes, culture becomes human. If love had a shape, it would be the molten gold of the setting sun spilled across the Seine, a river that doesn't just flow, but whispers. In every graceful bend around an ancient bridge, in every flicker of lamplight mirrored on its surface, a story waits, suspended between memory and motion. From the time the Gauls worshipped Sequana, the goddess of the sacred spring, where the Seine begins in the highlands of Bourgogne, to the twilight walks of modern Parisians, this river has carried the soul of the city through centuries. The Seine rises quietly in Source Seine, nestled in the plateau of Langres. Flowing 777 kilometers across towns like Troyes and Rouen, before reaching the English Channel between Le Havre and Honfleur. Its birth is marked by a grotto sheltering the statue of Sequana, a serene figure standing on a boat, a symbol of grace and beginnings. While remnants of Roman temples nearby whisper of an even deeper past. But it is in Paris, where it flows gently for 13 kilometers, that the Seine becomes legend. Here, the Seine slices the city into left and right banks, like a silver ribbon of time reflecting the grandeur of Notre Dame. The solemnity of the Louvre, and the playful elegance of 37 bridges, each with its own rhythm and story. Poets and singers have turned these crossings into verses and refrains. From Apollinaire's Sous le pont Mirabeau to the wistful tunes of Sous les ponts de Paris. The Seine is no passive backdrop. It has witnessed ice-thick winters where pedestrians once walked across its frozen surface, and devastating floods like the one in 1910, when waters rose nearly 10 meters, submerging streets and homes. Yet even in its wildest moments, it never lost its grip on the city, shaping its landscape, carving out islands like Ile de la Cité and Ile Saint-Louis, and leaving behind land that gave birth to neighborhoods like the Marais. Centuries ago, it was Paris's lifeblood, the city's main source of water and trade. The Samaritain pump under the Pont Neuf brought water to the Louvre, while barges delivered goods through its depths. Today, it has become a sanctuary for picnickers, artists, and those seeking stillness in the city's endless rhythm. In summer, the banks transform into Paris plages, pop-up beaches lined with sun lounges and laughter. Green bouquiniste stalls still sell poetry, prints, and history, while street musicians add their melodies to the breeze. Down by the water, couples sit in quiet conversation. Children toss pebbles, and tourists pause, not just to take photos, but to feel the pulse of something older and greater. From the Eiffel Tower's shimmering reflection to the echo of footsteps on cobblestones, the Seine does more than connect bridges. It connects hearts, ideas, and eras. It reminds you that time in Paris doesn't simply pass. It lingers. It breathes with you. And if you ever wonder where Paris keeps its poetry, it's not just in books or paintings. It's here, in the ripples of the river, in the quiet between bridges, in the gold spilled across the water as the sun sets. Once a royal dream carved in stone and gold, the Palace of Versailles is where absolute power met absolute beauty, where kings ruled, mirrors whispered, and gardens obeyed. Just a short journey from Paris in the Île-de-France region, Versailles began as a humble hunting lodge under Louis XIII, before being transformed into a magnificent symbol of royal absolutism by Louis XIV. Under his reign, it became not only the seat of power, but also the heart of French court culture, setting the tone for European elegance and governance for over a century. The architecture is a theatrical composition of intention and spectacle. With the vision of architects like Jules Hardouin-Mansart and Louis Leveau, and interior designer Charles Lebrun, Versailles grew into a Baroque marvel. The palace's expansive interiors shimmer with gold leaf, intricate frescoes, and endless mirrors, all crafted to glorify the Sun King. Outside, André Lenotre's meticulously designed gardens extend the royal vision into nature, their symmetrical paths and waterworks echoing human command over the landscape. But Versailles wasn't simply about appearances. It was a stage for everyday performances of power. The Hall of Mirrors, perhaps its most iconic room, witnessed both royal ceremonies and world-shaping history. Most famously, the signing of the Treaty of Versailles in 1919. The gardens themselves are acts of art and ambition. Visitors marvel at the grandeur of the Latona and Apollo fountains, walk under the shade of sculpted trees, or discover the Queen's Hamlet, a pastoral fantasy where Marie Antoinette sought simplicity amid courtly splendor. These grounds were once populated not just by royalty, but by countless craftsmen, gardeners, and artists whose labor turned vision into reality. Today, Versailles is no longer a royal residence, but a museum and cultural treasure. Each year, millions come to experience its layered history, walking the same halls as kings and revolutionaries. Tourists stroll the gardens, rent rowboats on the Grand Canal, explore the Petit and Grand Trianon, and attend seasonal musical fountain shows that bring the Baroque world back to life. These activities are more than entertainment, they are cultural immersion. French and international visitors alike often picnic on the palace lawns, reflecting the French joie de vivre that blends appreciation for beauty with a relaxed rhythm of life. Visitors absorb not just architectural grandeur, but the deeply human stories of love, ambition, betrayal, and rebirth that echo through each corridor. To visit Versailles is to travel through layers of artistry, politics, and human complexity. It is where history meets theater, where power shaped space, and where even today, every gilded wall and sculpted hedge invites you into a dialogue with the past, a past that continues to illuminate the soul of France. Paris, the eternal muse of the fashion world, where elegance seeps from the cobblestones and every narrow alley sings with the echoes of artistry and rebellion. It is not just a city, but a heartbeat wrapped in silk. A place where style is not stitched onto fabric, but into the very soul of its people. Passed down like cherished secrets from generation to generation. And nestled within this city of light and silhouettes, where haute couture rose like poetry from the ashes of revolution and reinvention, stands the Palais Galliera. Not a palace for monarchs or empires, but one devoted entirely to the sublime and shifting art of adornment. A cathedral of couture, where the body becomes a canvas, and fashion, a form of devotion. Its walls, dressed in Renaissance revival splendor and supported by the iron skeleton of Gustave Eiffel himself, speak of a Paris where tradition waltzes with innovation, where every stone whispers stories of elegance lost and found. This palace, though never to house her treasures, became instead a vessel for something equally eternal. The ever-evolving beauty of fashion and its power to reflect who we are, who we've been, and who we dream to become. From a museum of industrial arts to a sanctuary for painters who chronicled the soul of their time. And now, as a holy ground for the great couturiers of history, Chanel, Rick Owen, and the many whose stitches still whisper in its silence, the Palais Galliera has stood unwavering. you come to understand the truth Parisians have always known. That fashion, at its most honest, is not vanity, but history made tangible, emotions sewn into silhouette, and beauty, timeless, defiant, and deeply human, immortalized in every fold of fabric. High above Paris, on the hill of Montmartre, where painters once perched on ladders and poets wandered at dusk, stands the white Basilica of Sacré-Cœur, its domes luminous like quiet beacons in the city's skyline. The vibrant domes were like silent beacons against the city skyline. It wasn't built for power or pomp, but as a pledge after upheaval, a place of renewal, of reflection, of elevated space where the city might find its breath again. Its facade gleams because the travertine stone used for the exterior secretes calcite when it rains. So the basilica remains bright as day even under grey skies. Inside, the world slows. There is a massive mosaic. Christ in majesty, spread over the apse in gold and colour. You lift your eyes, you pause. Then you step out onto the terrace and Paris sprawls below, the Seine looping, rooftops stacked, the Eiffel Tower, distant but present. But the culture here, that is what changes the feeling. Montmartre is not just a backdrop. It was once a village beyond Paris's edges, then a haven for artists like Renoir and Picasso, then a stage for café life, cabarets, and bohemian nights. Walk down from the Basilica steps into the cobbled lanes. At Place du Théâtre, painters still set up easels interrupting café chatter. You might buy a small portrait, watch color mapped on canvas, hear accents from everywhere. Ride the funicular or climb the 222 steps. Either way, the journey becomes part of the story. Street musicians, artists, locals greeting each other, you feel the texture of this place. Then, as evening falls, Sacré-Cœur glows softly, the sky violet, the stone turning warm under sunset light. Around you, Montmartre cafes begin to stir. The laughter of visitors mingles with the sketching lines of an artist on the sidewalk. Here, you don't just see Paris from above. You feel a heritage, the art, the neighborhood, the silent challenge of a hill that rises high and is still watching over a city. If you go to Paris, go here, not only for the view, but for its life. The Basilica and the hill beneath it will reveal themselves in your own moment of stillness, and you'll leave with something more than a photograph. You'll carry a memory of place and culture intertwined. In the heart of Paris, where the Seine reflects centuries and the city exhales art, the Musée d'Orsay rises from the bones of a former train station, a place where time once thundered through on iron wheels and now lingers quietly in the presence of light, color, and memory. Once the Gare d'Orsay, this Beaux-Arts marvel was built for the 1900 Exposition Universelle, its vaulted glass ceilings and massive clock faces designed to welcome the age of steam with grandeur. Today, that same clock no longer ticks for trains. It keeps time for masterpieces. Beneath its arches now unfolds a vast gallery of 19th and early 20th century art, housing one of the world's most breathtaking collections of Impressionist and post-Impressionist work. Here, Paris tells its story not through words, but brushstrokes. Walk beneath the soaring iron arches, and you'll stand face to face with Monet's shimmering water lilies, Renoir's golden Parisian afternoons, Van Gogh's star-drenched nights, and Degas' ballet dancers frozen mid-motion. You'll see Manet challenging conventions, Cézanne breaking forms, Toulouse-Lautrec capturing the fever of Montmartre, and Whistler painting his mother in quiet dignity. Each gallery flows into the next like movements in a symphony. Every piece whispers of revolution, artistic, cultural, personal. The Musée d'Orsay doesn't merely exhibit art, it invites you into an era when Paris was shifting, where industry met imagination and tradition gave way to radical beauty. But the museum is more than its paintings. Its walls hold sculpture, photography, decorative arts, and architectural models, a full panorama of a century in flux. And the building itself, a masterpiece that bridges two worlds, train station and temple of culture. Its signature clock, high above the Seine, offers a view not just of Paris, but of time passing through the lens of art. Step into the museum's central hall, once filled with the sound of steam engines, now echoing only the quiet steps of visitors pausing before history. On the upper floors, take in sweeping views of the city, the Louvre to the east, Montmartre in the distance, and realize you are inside a living conversation between past and present. Even outside, the Musée d'Orsay speaks. The forecourt is dotted with sculptures from the Exposition Universelle, reminders of a time when Paris imagined the future with elegance and ambition. Today, that same spirit lingers, inviting you not just to look, but to feel. Whether you're drawn by the color of Monet's gardens, the emotional turbulence of Van Gogh, or the sheer architectural wonder of the building itself, the Musée d'Orsay offers more than art. It offers immersion. It is a place where time slows, where stories unfold in pigment, stone, and shadow. And when you step back out onto the banks of the Seine, you don't simply leave a museum. You carry with you the heartbeat of a century and the echo of a city that never stopped reinventing itself through beauty. Where marble kings once ruled and poets now linger, the soul of Paris blooms not in monuments of stone, but in the quiet rhythm of petals and sunlight at the Luxembourg Garden. Founded in 1612 by Queen Marie de' Medici as a memory of her Italian heritage, it sprawled across 25 hectares on the lush borders of Saint-Germain-des-Prés and the Latin Quarter. It transformed from royal retreat into Parisian refuge. Here, French formal gardens entwine with English landscapes, creating a harmonious mosaic of geometry and freedom. 3,000 mature trees from across the globe reach out toward the sky, and 5,000 mesas of flower beds blaze in seasonal color. Along its paths stand 102 statues and monuments, including the revered Medicis fountain, where water falls in gentle arcs. An orchard of over 500 ancient varieties of apple and pear trees whispers of forgotten harvests. In 2022, the garden welcomed a record 6.2 million visitors and was voted Europe's most beautiful garden. It's a testament not just to its display of nature, but to its cultivation of memory and community. Children sail toy boats on the basin. Adults challenge one another at marble chess tables. Lovers stroll under the shade of chestnut trees planted centuries ago. The orangery, the grills, and the pavilion d'Aviud host rotating exhibitions. Photography under autumn light. Sculpture between the hedgerows. Whisper-soft concerts among the blooms. Here, culture is not behind glass, but beneath leaves. Eco-responsible cultivation practices, selective waste sorting, and dedicated habitat preservation show that the Luxembourg garden is not only rooted in history, but growing in commitment to tomorrow. Walk through the gates toward the palace, where France's Senate convenes. Pause by a quiet sculpture or listen to the fountain's hush. You leave not with photographs, but with a feeling etched somewhere deeper. Not a memory, but a resonance. A quiet stirring that slips beneath language and settles in your breath. It isn't the grandeur that overwhelms you, it's the stillness it leaves behind. The hush in your chest as golden light scatters through a window. The pause between your steps as fountains rise like choreography set to silence. The way history reaches not just your eyes, but your soul. You watch strangers fall quiet, as if touched by something sacred. A child looks up, wide-eyed. A couple stands hand in hand, still. This isn't about the past. It's about the present. It awakens in us. Because what lingers isn't the opulence, but the emotion, that rare golden sense of being part of something vast and beautiful, of witnessing what humanity can dream when we dare to shape the world with both power and poetry. And as you walk away, you don't say goodbye. You carry it with you, quiet, luminous, yours.